Hello and welcome. Today we're bringing you some of the wildest runouts you'll ever see. Get ready to be entertained as we dive right in. First up, we have a true brain fade moment from Shubman Gill. The recently appointed Test captain of India had a brilliant series against England recently. Not only did his relatively young side manage to tie the series, Gill himself finished as the highest scorer. But despite the brilliance, Gill had a moment during the fifth match that he would not like to remember. Batting on 21 in the first innings, he blocked a ball from Gus Atkinson and took off. Unfortunately, the ball hadn't gone anywhere, nor had his partner at the other end, and after Atkinson's direct throw, the only place left for Gill to go to was the dressing room. But as it turns out, India ended up winning the match in marvelous fashion, so this dismissal didn't matter much anyway. Here we have one of the freakiest runouts you'll ever see. During a BPL game, Andre Russell dabbed a delivery to short third and took off for a single while his partner rushed to the danger end. Mahedi Hassan's throw did hit the stumps at the striker's end, but in a bizarre turn of events, it ricocheted off the wickets and headed down to the pitch where it struck the stumps at the other end as well. While the other batter was safe, it turned out Russell wasn't. The big man hadn't been expecting the ball to arrive at his end at all, and while he casually strolled to the crease, the ball made a more than surprising entrance and ended his innings in abrupt fashion. How unlucky is that? There have been quite a few instances where batsmen have been run out because they were too busy watching the ball instead of getting to the crease. This is one of those instances. During an ODI against India, Aussie man George Bailey seemed more concerned for his partner's safety than his own. So much so that he turned around and almost stopped in the middle of the pitch to see what was unfolding at the bowler's end. Unsurprisingly, the Indian players were more mentally present at the time than Bailey, and the bowler simply threw the ball to the keeper instead, who ran the Aussie out. Bailey was left fuming while the Indians celebrated in delight. It's not really wise to hang around in the middle of the pitch during a run now, is it? Pakistani legend Inzamam Haq is one of the most prolific middle-order batsmen to have ever come out of the subcontinent region. But he was by no means a prolific runner. Inzi was involved in his fair share of runouts, some of which were utterly hilarious. During an ODI against Australia, the big man played a strong shot to short fine leg. We're not really sure what Mohammad Yusuf was thinking at the other end, because by the time the camera returned to the crease, he was already at the striker's end, while Inzi hadn't moved an inch. The late great Shane Warne tossed the ball to the bowler, who knocked the bails off, and since Inzi hadn't left his crease, Yusuf had to trudge back to the pavilion. All things considered, we can't really blame Inzi for this one, because there was no way he was going to make it to the other end. In the very same match, Inzi was involved in yet another run-out. This time, he was the victim himself. To give you some backstory, years after this incident, the legendary Wasim Akram talked in a show about this very run-out. According to him, he had told Inzi no matter what happened, they were going to take a single on that particular delivery. Inzi, however, got nailed by a Yorker, and while his captain Wasim Akram ran to his end, Inzi just laid down on the ground. To make matters worse, while the bowlers knocked the bails over at the other end, Inzi casually put his bat over his crease and he was still on the ground. The most hilarious part is that Akram mentioned how Inzi looked up at him confused and asked what Akram was doing at his end. It's safe to say neither player was pleased with how this turned out. Here we have a run-out that will leave you scratching your head. Billy Stanlake got himself in all sorts during a BBL match after his bat got stuck in the ground during a single. Now, this isn't that uncommon of an occurrence. But what's weird about this dismissal is that poor Billy had every part of his body over the line as the bails were whipped off, except for his legs. And he hadn't grounded any of those parts either, which obviously mean his batting was over for the night. Imagine getting most of your body over the line and still getting run out. The replay was beautiful though. If this was a diving competition, Stanlake would have gotten a 10 out of 10 score for his form alone. Next up, we have one of the most famous runouts in the history of cricket. That time when the great Jonty Rhodes turned into Superman to run out Inzamam. During the 1992 World Cup, Jonty created a highlight reel for the ages when he opted to dash straight into the stumps with ball in hand instead of trying a direct throw. A crazy sprint followed by a huge dive, demolishing all 3 stumps as a result. While the effort was visually pleasing to say the least, it was also a really smart play from Jonty. He had only 1 stump to aim at from point and the keeper was nowhere in sight, so he took the route which guaranteed him a wicket. It was his pace against Inzi's and he knew who was going to win that race. Time for the most casual run-out you will ever see. During an ODI between India and Sri Lanka, Virender Sehwag slashed the ball to deep point and took off for a single. The easiest single he would ever have taken. It was so easy that even the fielder wasn't in a hurry to return the ball. A laid-back throw made its way to Kumar Sangakkara, who was about to toss the ball to the fielder at cover. But then he realized that Sehwag had completely forgotten where he was and still hadn't grounded his bat at the other end. The resulting throw at the stumps clipped the bails and ran Sehwag out by the barest of margins. It was a surprising lack of awareness from the Indian legend, and the commentators thought as much. Honestly, what a way to get yourself out. What we have here is possibly the funniest dismissal you will ever see. It's even more comical than the ones Inzi was involved in, and that's saying something. During a test match between Pakistan and Australia, a well-set Ashraf Ali edged the ball down to third man. Thinking it had gone for 4, he convened with his partner in the middle of the pitch for a nice little chat. Unbeknownst to both batters, the ball had in fact not reached the boundary ropes, and the return throw was gratefully accepted by the keeper, who took the bails off. All while Ali stood there watching everything unfold before his unbelieving eyes. He obviously had no choice but to go back to the dressing room, but we're sure he still thinks about this dismissal from time to time and wonders, what in the world was I doing there? Windy's big man Rakeem Cornwall is another batter who has a less than stellar reputation for running between the wickets. During a CPL match, he edged a delivery straight to the short fine leg fielder who spilled the ball. Normally, you'd consider this an easy single, even if it had to be a quick one. For Cornwall, however, it turned out to be a nightmare, as the fielder's direct throw ran him out by a mile. The big man was barely moving on the pitch. He was literally doing what we can only describe as a brisk walk, and not even a convincing one. And to make all that effort only to get run out, turn around and walk all the way back to the pavilion. Commentator Danny Morrison was left in fits. And why wouldn't he be? Good heavens, this was painful to watch.
Brother, you've got to slip it into second gear at least. The concrete shoes on and all, but mate, put the hammer down.
Virat Kohli is a true master when it comes to running between the wickets, but even he isn't safe from the occasional blunder. Although in this case his partner is more to blame than Kohli himself. During a test match against Australia, Ajinkya Rahane gently nudged the ball to short mid-off and started running. It was his call after all. But he very quickly realized that the run wasn't on. Kohli, being as quick as he is, was already halfway down the pitch by then, and well, let's just say trying to make it back was a formality at this point. Rahane was quick to turn his back to the dismissed Kohli because we all know how that confrontation would have gone. Turning your back on Kohli twice in the span of a minute is insane, to say the least. Here we have Rakeem Cornwall at it again. This time, the big man got dismissed twice on the same delivery. After getting struck on the pads, Cornwall took off only for another direct throw to crash into the stumps at his end. He was seemingly run out, but the opposition decided to rub salt on his wounds by reviewing the LBW appeal. Turns out he was out LBW as well, and that's what he was ultimately dismissed for. Talk about flirting with danger. Cornwall sure did go all out here. Have you ever seen someone getting run out by actually making way for the ball to crash into their stumps? Sir Alistair Cook did something of the sort during a test match against India. Standing at the non-striker's end on a well-made 190, Cook had to turn back after Kevin Peterson turned down a single. There was no problem though, as he was comfortably home. or he would have been if he had grounded his bat in time. Instead, he pulled back at the last second to avoid the throw that was fired directly at him, only for the ball to pass underneath his arms and dislodge the bails. Poor Cook was understandably distraught because that's hardly an acceptable way to get out when you're this close to a double century. That's some bad luck right there. Next up, we have some phenomenal fielding from one of the best to ever do it. Ravindra Jadeja showcased his fielding brilliance to run out a well-set Steve Smith during a test match against the Aussies. He ran in all the way from the leg side boundary to pick up the ball at the edge of the circle and proceeded to fire in a direct throw right on the stumps. What makes this so brilliant is his quickness and the fact that he only had a stump and a half to aim at. After all, Smith is no slouch when it comes to running between the wickets. With the kind of fielding efforts this man makes, he deserves his own separate video. And lastly, we have Martin Guptill pulling off something similar, but the importance of this effort is much, much greater. During the 2019 ODI World Cup final between India and New Zealand, MS Dhoni was keeping his side's hopes alive by taking the game to the very end. With 25 left of 10 balls, he mistimed a shot to the leg side and took off for a double. Guptill ran in from the leg side boundary, picked up the ball from the edge of the circle, and landed the most perfect direct throw you will ever see, right in the middle of the stump he was aiming for. Dhoni was sent packing, and ultimately so was India, all thanks to Guptill and his amazing fielding. Talk about coming through for your team in a pressure situation. And there you have it, folks. Some of our wildest runouts from the cricketing world. As always, be sure to like and subscribe for more crazy compilations from the gentleman's game.